We could do our anti-Tesla protest in Central Park.
Well, you did that too. You squeezed that in.
I did both of them.
And that's a newsmaker. Tell us about your day yesterday on that front.
I started in Chelsea with a bunch of wackos, and then went to Central Park with a bunch of civilized, happy people. And that was the big difference. Central Park, everybody was smiling. Everybody was so happy. Down at where we went for to the Tesla showroom, there in front of the "Burn a Tesla, Save Democracy" sign, no one was smiling. Nobody was really all that happy. I was trying to sort of get them, lift their spirits a little bit, but it didn't work. You have three categories of people. You have people who are, and there were some legitimately mentally ill people that are attracted to
every
these things.
protest has that.
Yeah, of course. And then you have the catch-all people who are there for Palestine. They're for, you list any sort of thing they're there for. They're rent-a-protesters. And then you had a few people who actually had interesting things to say.
So let's see, because first of all, by the way, I asked Charlie, how was the protest? He said, stupid.
It was so stupid.
But let's see what you guys think.
Oh.
Hey, hey! Whoa, Elon Musk has got to go! Hey, hey! Whoa, Elon Musk has got to go!
Musk lies, people die!
Musk lies!
People die!
So what are y'all doing here today?
We are here to protest Elon Musk.
We didn't vote for Elon Musk, and now he's the co-president.
He's out of control. He has no constitutional right to be doing what he's doing.
What's your sign say?
I am stealing from you. I feel like he's stealing our rights, our voice, our money. I'm 2 years away from collecting Social Security. I'm deathly afraid.
What's wrong with Elon Musk?
Yeah, well, first of all, he came here as an illegal alien, documented immigrants, first of all. Second of all, he's a fascist with Nazi salutes.
You see a lot of people around here saying that Elon Musk is a Nazi. Do you think that Elon Musk is a Nazi?
Well, I think that Elon Musk is showing us signs of being a Nazi.
Do you think Elon Musk is a Nazi?
Yes. He's a fascist because he is blatantly trying to dismantle democracy in the U.S.
Are you concerned about waste, fraud, and abuse from the federal government?
Not particularly.
Yes, I am. And Elon is not the answer. It's got to be done intelligently. You can't just go in and take an axe to everything. They have given no proof of what fraud they had claimed.
So have you been on the Doge website to look at some of the waste, fraud, and abuse that they're trying to cut out?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't believe anything they would put out.
Have you always disliked Elon Musk?
No, I really thought he was great once. He was helping, he was against climate change.
I have two friends who own Teslas who have just gotten rid of them.
We're not protesting all electric vehicles. We're protesting Tesla, which is owned by a fascist man-child.
I'm not against anybody working in the showroom. They got to make a living. I get it.
Well, you can't make a living today. I mean, the showroom's shut down.
Does this qualify as First Amendment activity, shutting down a business 3 weeks in a row? Isn't this economic terrorism?
Yeah, that's a good point. Have you thought of, you should go up there and give that speech.
I'll be torn apart.
Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I think the best part, Charlie, is we saw the person complaining that Elon Musk, they claim, was an illegal immigrant. You said that there were a lot of people saying that. So what are they against? Just geniuses who are illegal? Because this city still has, I just saw footage outside of that Roosevelt Hotel. There are still lines of illegals getting free housing.
Yeah, and it's funny that they're not the only ones saying it. You hear politicians talk about this.
I know.
And they make that dig. And you get the real sense of, man, if Democrats didn't need illegals for their own political benefit, man, they would be some harsh masters.
Well, my Twitter is full of Democrats and liberals telling me I should be deported.
Oh, Rachel, no.
It's true.
Well, and also to be clear, Elon Musk came to the United States in 1992 to attend the University of Pennsylvania. So his journey to U.S. citizenship actually highlights skilled migrants who come to the United States and become naturalized, which is something that the Trump administration is championing. And these people who protested in front of Tesla dealerships across the country, they didn't impact Elon Musk's day at all. They impacted the workers' day, who were there, Charlie, inside, probably a little bit concerned about what was going on, and are certainly going to be concerned coming to work tomorrow because there was a sign that said, "Burn Tesla." Burn Tesla down.
Burn
during
Tesla, save democracy.
Burn Tesla, save democracy.
Not really sure how those two go together.
What a slogan.
You're right that it doesn't affect Elon Musk, but there is a downstream effect. So let's say you have any kind of company and you're not the richest man in the world. You might think twice after seeing what Elon is going through about dipping your toe in politics and in policy. And this is exactly the message they tried to send through Donald Trump, except, again, tough guy, had the money and the sort of personality to withstand what went against him. But I guarantee you there are 1,000 businessmen who saw what happened to Donald Trump and said, it's not worth it to me and my family.
And I think it's such a great point. To a person, every single one of those people said that they either liked him or didn't have an opinion about him until he got involved in politics. And that's the moment.
Yeah, and one last thing. I mean, I don't think that any of these people are really protesting what Doge is doing. They're protesting a false narrative around Elon Musk, because ever since Donald Trump won the popular vote, there always needs to be a villain. And the new villain is Elon Musk, when in reality, Doge has saved $130 billion in savings. That is $807 per taxpayer right now, including all those protesters that were standing outside the dealerships yesterday. And I can guarantee you that when the dust settles and when this story doesn't matter anymore, there are going to be articles written from surprising places like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal saying, you know, actually what Doge and Elon Musk did maybe wasn't such a bad thing. You know, those articles always happen, and I guarantee you it's going to happen this time as well.
Let's hope so.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.